As we enter 2023, naturally at this time of year, many people are planning to relocate. And so in this video, we are going over the 10 most affordable suburbs to live near Austin, Texas. And hopefully by the end of this video, we'll have helped you arrive at your own conclusion as to whether or not any one of these places might be right for you. Stay tuned. Hey again, everybody, this is Frank with the Living in Austin group at eXp Realty, wishing you a very happy new year. On this channel, we put out new content about living in Austin, Texas, the good and the bad, so consider subscribing if you haven't already, and ring that little bell to get notified anytime we put out a new video. We also love the reach outs we get now all the time from people just like you in need of our help when relocating to the greater Austin area. So keep them coming, don't hesitate. Whether you're 9 days away or 90, reach out to our team, whether you shoot us a text, send us an email, give us a call any day of the week, any time of day. So yes, as mentioned in this video, we are going over the 10 most affordable suburbs to live in the greater Austin area. But before I get into it, a few disclaimers. For starters, because this is a most affordable list, we are not going to have places like the Westlake Hills, for example, that have median home prices of well over $2 million, nor are we going to have super affordable places that are like an hour plus away from the city of Austin, because that would negate the point of this video. Most of these places are going to be at maximum maybe 40 to 45 minutes where you can just hop on the freeway and get there under an hour. Otherwise, the only other disclaimer worth mentioning is that there are actually more than 10 places in this video, because some of them have such identical ranges of their median home price that I'm kind of grouping them together in the rankings from 10 to 1. Other than that, let's get right to it and start at number 10. Starting out, we have what I call the Cool Kids, which is a three-way tie at number 10 between Leander, Cedar Park, and Round Rock, Texas. Full disclosure, I am referring to my notes here. I am not going to pretend to have all of this information memorized. So the reason I call them the Cool Kids is because a whole lot of the time in this business, a majority of the calls that we get, people are looking at Leander, Round Rock, and Cedar Park, Texas. Why is this? It is a combination of many things. For one, on average, you are between, say, 25 and 35 minutes from the heart of downtown Austin, which is relatively attractive if you are going to be commuting and perhaps you do work in that corporate hub of downtown Austin. Another reason is the tech hub, which is in North Austin, being roughly 15 to 20 minutes away from these respective suburbs as well. In addition to that, you are going to have what many would consider cream of the crop school districts. And so you add that all together, it is a lovely place to raise your family. It's very pretty. You have different parks. Now, outside of Round Rock, Texas, you aren't going to have a whole lot to do in either Leander or Cedar Park, but that isn't really the point. The point is just to be safe, happy, calm, quiet, pretty suburbia. And then Round Rock is very much the same. However, because of its size, which is gigantic, Round Rock is going to have more things to do on a daily basis. It is considered quite a bit of a hub outside of the city of Austin regarding just places you can go and things you can do, especially with your family. Now, why are these three suburbs at number 10 and why are they tied? Well, these three cool kid suburbs that are in very high demand, which means they are popular, are going to be roughly on average ranging from the high 4s to the low 5s when talking about the fluctuating median home price. Now, the cheapest of these three in terms of how low the median can really fluctuate is going to be Round Rock at around $460,000. Not to say that is the cheapest you can find, no, but in terms of the median home price, that is about as low as it'll fluctuate. Now on the high end, we're looking at Cedar Park, Texas. The highest its median fluctuates is right around $520,000, but otherwise altogether, these three are going to be pretty easily in the high 4s or the low 5s, which I realize to many of you watching this isn't necessarily really affordable. However, I will be the bearer of bad news because we keep it brutally honest on this channel. The greater Austin area is getting so damn expensive that the high 4s and the low 5s is now considered at least relatively affordable when at least compared to Austin city limits, Austin proper, with their median home price of right over $600,000. Moving right along, coming in at number 9, we have what I call the underrated duo, a two-way tie between Lago Vista, Texas and Buda, Texas. Now, both of these places, their median home prices are going to fluctuate on the low end of around $450,000 to a median home price high end of about $500,000. So just a hair less expensive than Leander Cedar Park or Round Rock, Texas. Now, the reason I call these an underrated duo is because both are very different and far apart from each other, but they're both underrated in their own ways. I will start with Lago Vista, Texas. Now, the downside of Lago Vista, Texas is that with a heavy foot, you can make it to downtown probably in 40 to 45 minutes. And now if it's peak rush hour, forget about it. I would not waste your time. However, Lago Vista, Texas is an underrated gem in my opinion because it is centered around the north shore of Lake Travis. And when you're talking about the south shore of Lake Travis, this is where you have places like the Westlake Hills or Lakeway, Texas, for example, with median home prices as cheap as maybe $800,000 or $900,000 all the way up to the millions. That's where you have a lot of mansions and gated communities where a lot of wealth is located. But a lot of people don't really realize that there is a north shore to the lake, and that's Lago Vista. And it is, for what you get, relatively affordable. You might not be 30 minutes away from downtown and 15 from Tech like Leander, Cedar Park, or Round Rock, but you do have the lake probably just walking or driving distance away from whatever neighborhood you find in Lago Vista, Texas for a very comparable price. Now, talking about Buda, Texas, does it have a lake? Certainly not. So what makes it so underrated? Well, Buda, Texas is remarkably close to downtown Austin. It is, if you have a heavy foot, 15 minutes away, maybe 20 to 25 with some traffic from the heart of downtown Austin. And for the longest time, Buda, Texas, even still with that proximity, was flying under the radar. I remember not too long ago, its median home price was the low threes, but apparently with all the people flocking here and relocating to the greater Austin area, it has become discovered and people flock there, and so the price got higher. But you're still looking at, as mentioned, $450,000 to $500,000 on average. You can certainly find cheaper than that, and you can certainly find it more expensive than that. So while Buda might not have its own lake, if you just drive 15 to 20 minutes into the city, you have everything that Austin, Texas has to offer you, including its own bodies of water, all while maintaining at least a relatively affordable price tag. Up next at number 8, we have Georgetown, Texas. Now, Georgetown, Texas has a median home price that will fluctuate on average between $440,000 up to about $490,000. So we're getting a hair less and a hair less and a hair less expensive as we go down this list. So Georgetown, Texas, subjectively speaking, I have quite a bit of a soft spot for. And the reason why is, in a greater Austin area, which has a tech hub, which has a downtown, which has these popular suburbs, which has these amazing school districts, Georgetown, Texas kind of marches to the beat of its own drum in some ways. It is this charming, quaint, I would call small town, but it's actually deceivingly large as well. It has a population that is not going to be as high as Round Rock, but it is comparable to Round Rock's at around 90,000 people last time I checked. I might need to check again, but right around there. And so what I like about Georgetown, Texas is the feel. In spite of how many people live there, you go into Georgetown and it feels a little old-fashioned. It feels chill, it feels calm. It has its own downtown. You have a mix of old historic homes with a mix of brand new construction homes. You have a lot of rural areas in Georgetown as well. You have acres and farmlands and things like that. So a lot of people who really want land with their house will look at Georgetown, Texas for a relatively affordable price tag as well. In addition to that, Georgetown, Texas has very respectable school districts, and as mentioned, with its own downtown area, you are going to have quite a fair share of things to do. Now, the downside to Georgetown, Texas, because there is always some kind of catch, is that at best you're looking at probably 40 to 45 minutes from the heart of downtown Austin. And similar to Lago Vista, if traffic is at its absolute worst, that could easily be over an hour from downtown, which kind of almost disqualifies it from this list. But I have gotten to downtown from Georgetown with a heavy enough foot and smooth enough traffic in 35 to 40 minutes. So there are ways, but I'm not encouraging you to break the law. Do not get me wrong. So yes, at number 8, Georgetown, Texas. Calm, quiet, safe, nice schools, land, things to do, scenery, so on and so forth. Moving right along to number 7 on our list, we have Pflugerville, Texas, and that is always such a joy to say. It's a fun word. So Pflugerville, Texas, it's good that we're giving some love to Pflugerville because really in this business, it really kind of gets left out a lot. It's in some ways a bit of an afterthought, at least in my experience being in real estate, because you have the shiny Leander, Texas, right? You have the charming Georgetown, Texas, the safe Cedar Park, Texas, the booming Round Rock, Texas, and Pflugerville is kind of there. It's within 10 to 15 minutes of all of these other more popular attractive suburbs, but it just doesn't get a whole lot of love. So we're going to give it some love in this video. And it's at number 7 because its median home price fluctuates between $400,000 and $450,000, which means if that's its median, you can easily find homes in Pflugerville that are going to be in the 300s. And so better bang for your buck, if you know what I mean. Now, another thing that makes Pflugerville attractive is that it is essentially Round Rock-ish, right? It's similar to Round Rock. It's very close to Round Rock, but you're closer to downtown Austin. So if you live in Pflugerville, depending on where in Pflugerville, you're going to be on average roughly 20 minutes from the heart of where everything happens. And in addition to that, because you're so close to Round Rock, Texas, as mentioned, Round Rock has a plethora of things to do, so you're pretty much close enough to wherever you want to have your fun. And as mentioned, that's all while maintaining a relatively affordable price tag when compared to the other places we've mentioned on this list, and of course compared to how expensive the city of Austin is. Now, the only downside I will say about Pflugerville, Texas, because yes, we keep it real on this channel, is it feels a little bit old. And some people might like that in terms of its charm. Other people with a taste for brand new things might not be as attracted to it. And the reason being is that Pflugerville, Texas was one of the first suburbs outside of the city of Austin to really boom and peak. But we're talking about its boom and peak being maybe 20 to 30 years ago. So don't get me wrong, there are new things, there are new homes. It's not all old in Pflugerville, but a lot of it will look a little bit more aged as opposed to places that are currently in development and currently booming like Leander, Texas. Keeping it moving, since we don't want an hour-long video on our hands, at number 6 we have Hutto, Texas. Now, Hutto, Texas is what I would also describe as a boom town, a underrated kind of hotspot for growth, if you will. Now, the difference between Hutto and Leander, Texas, in my opinion, is that Leander is a bit more shiny. Leander is a bit more attractive. Leander has the impeccable school district. So Leander is kind of like the cooler, more popular older sibling, but do not dismiss Hutto, Texas, especially with a median home price that fluctuates between $380,000 and $420,000. Now, depending again on who you are, that still might not seem affordable, but if you're in my business and you are used to price tags so frequently of $750,000, $1.2 million in the greater Austin area, and you see a price tag that starts with a 3, that is amazing news. In addition to that, if you live in Hutto, on average, you are going to be about 30 minutes away from the heart of downtown Austin, which is not too shabby. In addition to that as well, Hutto being close enough to Round Rock, Texas, is also going to be close enough to that tech hub in North Austin if you are going to be working in tech. So you can expect that drive to be as well between 15 and maybe 25 minutes. Now, on the subject of Hutto, Texas, as it currently stands, there isn't a ton of things to do, which is kind of why it's a boom town. It's up and coming because it has a lot of potential and it has a lot of future plans. One of those, the most important one, being what is called the Co-op District, which is plans for this new epic shopping center that is going to be comparable to the Domain. And if you haven't heard of the Domain, it is in that North Austin tech hub. It is a shopping center that is, let's use words like bougie or fancy or posh. I mean, it has an Apple store, it has Nordstrom, it has theaters, it has a bar strip, it has clubs, right? So Hutto has plans for the Co-op District, which is going to kind of propel Hutto and make it its own little hub, if you will. However, as it currently stands, yes, Hutto, Texas is calm, quiet, peaceful, and relatively affordable. And with the plans that it has for its future, I would expect that median home price to really skyrocket in the coming years. But even still, a good find, middle of the road here at number 6. Coming in at number 5, we have the very underrated and under the radar San Marcos, Texas. Now, for the longest time, San Marcos, Texas was a bit of an afterthought as well, because if you are from Austin, like myself, and you're going to San Antonio, Texas, which I have done aplenty throughout my life, San Marcos was always that place you just passed through on the way. And for the longest time, it was really known as a college town home of Texas State University. However, in recent years, especially, San Marcos, Texas has developed quite a bit. And in a lot of people's opinions, I share this sentiment to some extent, is that it is a bit of a miniature Austin. Now, obviously not going to be as hipster or trendy or, dare I say, pretentious as Austin, nor as expensive as Austin, because San Marcos, Texas has a median home price that will average between $350,000 and $400,000, getting even cheaper and more affordable on this list. And the cool thing about San Marcos, Texas is on average you're between 30 to 40 minutes from downtown Austin, except you're in the direction of south instead of north, like Georgetown, Texas. And the reason it is, to some extent, a miniature Austin, if we're going to use that expression, is that it has an abundance of things to do. It has its own hub. It has different boutiques and shops and stores and all that. It has premium outlet malls. It has rivers for tubing and things like that. A lot of the attractions it has are going to be catered kind of for that college demographic. However, do not get me wrong, you are going to have a lot of things for everybody. You even have different places that are artistic as well, different galleries and things of that nature. So when you factor in all you can do in San Marcos, Texas, when you factor in how close you are to the city of Austin, and you factor in its affordability, all of a sudden, combining all of those factors, you have quite an attractive place to consider if you're thinking of relocating to the greater Austin area. Keeping it moving, down the list we go. At number 4, we have Manor, Texas. And Manor, Texas, get this, its median home price fluctuates between $340,000 and $390,000. So even when its median home price is kind of on an uptick, it is still under $400,000, which in the greater Austin area is basically a miracle. And buckle up, you guys, because the next remaining places on this list do not even sniff the 400s after this. Now, what's great about Manor, Texas is I would say it's tied in terms of proximity to downtown with Buda, Texas at right around 15 to 20 minutes. And as mentioned, Buda, Texas, instead of being 340 to 390, is 450 to $500,000. Now, what is the catch here? The catch is Manor, Texas is pretty rural. It is pretty underdeveloped. Do not get me wrong. As mentioned, it will have plans for its future because people keep moving to Austin, Texas. And so they just have to keep building out of the city, which means that a lot of these places that really don't have a lot going on right now, that's going to change, right? So that's the thing though with Manor, is that when you move to Manor, Texas, you're kind of, unless you like the peace and quiet and you like having pretty much absolutely nothing to do, you're basically betting on its potential and its future. Now, that is a perk because if you're going for appreciation and return on your investment, that's a safe bet. Any place that's underdeveloped is sure to develop, just like Buda. But that's the thing, keeping it real with you guys, Manor, Texas, you're going to like how close you are to everything. If you need to get downtown, if you need to get to the tech hub, it's not too far of a drive, but living there day to day might not be right for you. However, that price tag is not easy to ignore. Now, real quickly before moving on, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. If we've been providing any value for you, consider clicking the like button as it helps our channel grow. Remember to subscribe, and lastly, share our content with anybody you know who's wanting to learn more about living in Austin, Texas. All right, arriving at our top 3 most affordable suburbs to live near Austin, Texas. At number 3, we have Kyle, Texas. Now, in terms of affordability, Kyle, Texas is very comparable to Manor, Texas. Its median home price similarly fluctuates between right around $340,000 upwards to around $380,000 instead of $390,000. So yes, we are splitting hairs with this one. Now, talking about Kyle, Texas, it is going to be south of Buda, Texas, which as mentioned is very close to the city. So if you live in Kyle, Texas, you're looking at probably 25 to maybe 30 minutes max away from downtown Austin. Now, what I like about Kyle, Texas, let's say when comparing it to a similarly priced Manor, Texas, is that Kyle, Texas is going to have more of a culture. It is going to have more of a history. And while it isn't going to be loaded with things to do necessarily, it is going to have more of an identity. It is going to have a bit more of a charm. In my opinion, it is very pretty to look at as well. And I don't know if you guys will consider this a silver lining, but subjectively speaking, I think it's a bit of a perk that you're still close enough to Austin, Texas, as mentioned, about 25 minutes. And you're very close to San Marcos, Texas, in terms of everything that San Marcos has to do. And in addition to that, if we're really finding the silver lining, you are a hair closer to San Antonio should you ever want to road trip and spend a day in a different city entirely. Up next, at number 2 on this list, we have Taylor, Texas. And Taylor, Texas has a median home price that fluctuates between $330,000 upwards to $370,000. Again, not to be redundant, when you have a median home price that is in the 3s in the greater Austin area, that is just baffling to me. If its median home price is right around $340,000, and let's say your budget is the high 2s to the low 3s, that's very doable, which blows my mind when talking about the greater Austin area. However, regarding Taylor, Texas, it is imperfect and it is flawed. Like any place on this list, there's going to be some shortcomings. So for me, the biggest standout regarding what there might not be to like about Taylor, Texas is, of all of the places on this list, it might be the one that has the least amount of things to do. It is very, very rural. I was just there in October for a county fair, and granted, we were kind of in the outskirts of Taylor, do not get me wrong, but even still, you look out and it's just green and it's just grass. And for many people, that could be quite an attractive quality. Or for many people, it's like, where in the hell are we, right? If your dog ran away in Taylor, Texas, you could see the dog running away still like 2 days later because there's just nothing there. I am being dramatic, do not get me wrong. You have neighborhoods, you have some shopping, you have things like that, of course. But it really is a lot of land. So much so that Samsung, as in the Samsung, is building a $4.2 billion plant in Taylor, Texas. And this could be good or bad news. The reason it's bad news is it is sure to change Taylor, Texas. So if you like Taylor, Texas the way it is and you don't want anybody coming in and messing with your town, it's happening. So that means there's going to be an influx of people coming to Taylor, Texas. Now, why is this good news? Because if you own a home in Taylor, Texas, and you bought it for $340,000, and they eventually finish the $4.2 billion Samsung plant, and as a natural effect of that, they really start developing Taylor, Texas, your appreciation is going to be through the roof. And that makes it very attractive because by default, it is going to be an up-and-coming boom town once everyone starts moving there and they really need to build out the city's or the town's infrastructure to match it. So while that is good news for many and bad news for some, I will finish my talk about Taylor, Texas with a little bit more bad news, and that would be it is in the outskirts of the greater Austin area, looking at right around, on average, 40 minutes from downtown Austin, putting it roughly as far away from the city as Georgetown, Texas, and Lago Vista, Texas. Now, the thing is, if you're in Lago Vista, Texas, you're cool being 40 to 45 minutes away from the city because you have a lake. If you live in Georgetown, you're cool with being 40 to 45 minutes away because you have its downtown and its fair share of things to do. And while I'm not going to say there is nothing to do in Taylor, there is less to do in Taylor than those other two places, and in my opinion, that is reflected by its very affordable price tag. All right, now finally, at long last, at number one, the most affordable suburb to live near Austin is Elgin, Texas, with a median home price that ranges between $320,000 up to $350,000. And what's there to say about Elgin, Texas? I'll be honest with you guys. It is pretty comparable in terms of what it has to offer, at least as of now, with Manor and Taylor, Texas. Now, at least with Manor, Texas, you can talk about how close it is to downtown Austin, or at least with Taylor, Texas, you can talk about how Samsung is building a $4.2 billion plant in the outskirts of Taylor. But regarding Elgin, Texas, it's just kind of there. And if you live in Elgin, Texas, I mean no disrespect, but I have a job to do, and I'm talking to people from California, from New York, from Canada, from Oregon, from Washington State, from Europe. We help people from all over the world move to the greater Austin area. And so I am not going to bullshit and say that Elgin, Texas, with its most affordable price tag outside of Austin, has an abundance of things to offer. Now, it is only 30 minutes away from downtown Austin, so that's pretty on par with Leander, Texas, for example, and lots of other places on this list. But with full transparency, I will say the most attractive quality of Elgin, Texas is its extreme affordability, at least when compared to the median home price of downtown Austin being well over $600,000, and the median home price of Austin, Texas's most popular and sought after suburbs being right around $500,000. The good news about Elgin, Texas being only 30 minutes away from the city is that if you are trying to get your foot in the door of Austin, Texas, let's say you do not want to move to Houston, let's say you do not want to move to Dallas, nor do you want to move to San Antonio, and Austin is the place for you, whether it's by desire or for work, and you're only limited to a certain amount of money if you have a certain budget, Elgin, Texas is a great place to start out, especially if you're a first-time buyer or things of that nature. So there you have it. Whether you want to be near the best schools for $500,000, whether you want to be near the water for $450,000, whether you want to be close enough to downtown for $400,000, or whether you just want to get your foot in the door being 30 minutes away for $320,000, hopefully in this video we've helped you arrive at your own conclusion based on your own budget as to whether or not any of these places might be right for you if you're intending to relocate to the greater Austin area. Now, obviously, due to time constraints, I couldn't talk forever and ever about each and every one of these many places in this video, but on this channel, we do have many videos solely dedicated to specific suburbs outside of the city of Austin, so feel free to check any of those out. And while many of these places won't resonate with you, if some of them do, again, that is what we are here for, helping people just like you relocate to the greater Austin area, making that move as smooth as possible and finding that perfect spot. But again, the only way we can do that is by you reaching out to us. So don't hesitate, whether you're 9 days away or 90, reach out to our team, whether you shoot us a text, send us an email, give us a call any day of the week, any time of day. It is what we love to do. And as mentioned on this channel, we put out new content about living in Austin, Texas, the good and the bad. So remember to subscribe if you haven't already and ring that little bell to get notified anytime we put out a new video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Click the like button if we've been providing any value for you. Share with anybody you know. And until the next one, you guys, my name is Frank. This has been Living in Austin, Texas, and we will absolutely catch you later.